The Caribbean is often described as the most tourism-dependent region in the world. A titan is described as one that stands out for greatness of achievement, one who is influential in his field. I'm Marlene Stevenson-Daly. Welcome to our podcast. We call it Tourism Titans. It's about the movers and shakers of the industry, men and women who have contributed to its growth and development in Jamaica, the region, and indeed, the world. For over 40 years, John D. Lynch has been a steady force for many of the Caribbean's most visible travel brands, including Destination Jamaica, then national airline Air Jamaica, Sandals Resorts, Beaches Resorts, and the Royal Plantation Group of luxury boutique resorts. Rising from the tour business, Lynch has become one of the Caribbean's most influential and sought-after experts, a critical player in bringing worldwide attention and ultimately visitors to the region that he knows so well. I'm delighted to have him as my special guest today on Jamaica's Tourism Titans. And Mr. John Lynch, it is a pleasure to have you as our special guest today.
Nice being here.
Now, maybe I should start with who is John Lynch? We've said a few things about you, but who really is John Lynch?
First of all, I haven't even recognized your description of me. It's probably too long. I came into the tourist industry, I would say, by accident.
How so?
I wasn't doing anything, right? And I started looking for a job. And I got an offer from the Jamaica Tourist Board. And, it was so long now. I went on my first farm trip, and Bernie Rickman, I think, said this hotel at the Tower was $100 MAP. And I said to him, "Where is the map?" That was my knowledge of the industry. So, it's been a long battle. And, from the moment I came in there, that was it. Love at first sight and probably love at last sight.
Now, in terms of the very, very first job that you recall, because my research tells me that you started what was then a Jamaican-based tour company, and you sort of came in through that route. Tell me about that.
I worked for the Tourist Board as a sales representative. I started in Kingston, and I got transferred to Montego Bay. And a company came to me and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I kind of slid into the tour company, and it was quite an experience. We built up quite a large company.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn from that experience, though, that has served you well in all of the other roles that you have taken on?
Just hard work. That's all it is.
Hard work.
Hard work, and you apply yourself and learn as much as you can.
What was the young John Lynch like? Truthfully now.
I don't think your visitors, your listeners would appreciate it. No, I was inquisitive.
Yes.
Right. And wanted to learn, and a lot of the people in the industry became role models to me, and I just worked at it. And
who were some of these role models that you're thinking?
Oh boy, you have people like Anthony Abrams,
mm-hmm.
Nick Brimmer, hoteliers,
mm-hmm.
Heinz Simonish, these kind of guys.
Interesting. Just yesterday I was at the Heinz Simonish School,
yes,
and reminding the students that this school is named after your founder, who was a stellar hotelier here in Jamaica.
Fabulous hotelier.
Yes.
And then I went to work for somebody, Butch Strud. Right, and that too was an experience.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that experience at Sandals. But you were born under the clock, so to speak, here in Kingston.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in the Lynch household, one, and two, in Kingston in that time?
Well, my father was a civil servant, and we were fortunate. We grew up in Hope Gardens, and I developed which came on very late in life, a love for plants, because my mother is an avid. I think at one point she had 5,000 blooming anthuriums.
Oh my goodness!
Not in Hope Gardens, but when my father retired,
Yes.
they moved out. But so I went to Jamaica College, and I boarded at Jamaica College, if you can imagine.
And you're just around the corner.
Yes, I had to go to boarding school, which tells you a little bit about me. It was
Boarding
a conditionality
Yes.
of my being at Jamaica College. But enjoyed it, learned a lot.
Made some lifelong friends, perhaps?
Yes, made lifelong friends, and enjoyed it. Enjoyed going to boarding school, if you can believe that.
But you see, being at Hope Gardens, you probably would have also gotten a liking for the outdoors and the rumble and tumble of, just running up and down, because you would have had a lot of space and that sort of thing.
And I could slip home for meals, so I didn't have the hard growing up of eating in the cafeteria day in, day out.
We know how that can be sometimes.
And mother brought fresh eggs for me once a week, so that's
Wow.
okay.
We now refer to Kingston as the entertainment capital of the Caribbean, but what was it like then in terms of, stuff that young people could do as young boy, young girl? What were some of the things that...
Well, you had Byron Lee, you had Kes Chin, you had Glass Bucket.
Okay.
It was a fabulous place.
Yes.
Right, growing up in Kingston, and the parties, the house parties, it was really fabulous.
It's
In
pretty
my
much the same. I mean, things perhaps would have expanded and you have more options, but then that was kind of the core of the fun and the activities that would have taken place. Now, I want to ask, what makes John Lynch, someone who has served in so many different capacities, in different areas of the tourism and travel industry, tick? What makes you tick?
That's a difficult question. This industry changes every day. Every day there's somebody doing something new. And it kind of reinvents itself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through almost everything. And this last time, I'd never been through an epidemic before. And COVID came along, so I can add that to my resume. But I've been through hurricanes, I've been through riots, I've been through all sorts of
Well,
things.
share with us some of those stories, because I'm sure for persons who are listening in who have no clue, what are some of those challenges that we face in the industry, you can share that information. And for those who probably have a little clue, it will awaken their senses and take them back, a little bit of nostalgia there,
Let me give you one, Gilbert.
Wild Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert. I stood up at the Montego Bay Airport and paying some of the airlines and paying change fees to get tourists off the island.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy on the beach in the grill. And we went to him and said, we'd like to get you off.
Home.
Because we wanted to get...
As many persons back to their homes as
so
possible.
we could fix the place. The guy said, leave me to hell alone. This is
He was
great.
He was fine.
He was fine. So, it was quite an experience getting people. You try to get them to come here.
And then you try to get them to go back to their homes.
It was quite an experience.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. So Gilbert, I think a lot of persons can relate to Gilbert, and we talk about resilience is a well-used word now, but we had to be resilient then because we did have quite a bit of devastation.
Jamaica is a very resilient place, I tell you. Even this last COVID, I'm amazed at the way the bookings have come back, right? And with a force, right? But I guess people have been tired of being locked up.
Yes, because I was about to ask, what do you think accounts? I'm sure there are many different things, but what do you think accounts for our ability to bounce back the way we have, and to be able to attract, we're growing, I think, at a very good rate at the moment. And we were interrupted in our 5 for 5 for 5. That's 5 million tourists over 5 years with $5 billion in earnings. And we were kind of stopped in our track, but we're back on track.
Yeah, we're back on track. I think we have a relationship with our suppliers that I think is really superb. Starting with the airlines, who've never given up on us, right, and who have kept faith, right. We got a little bit slow start in Europe, but America has come back really tremendously, and our travel agents, which is amazing. We have a group of folks who call on travel agents and work with them, and so a lot of people who want to go somewhere. The travel agents said, "Well, what about Jamaica?"
Yes.
And even if I do say it myself, this is a fabulous destination.
Yes,
it really is.
One of the things that I think is very important is the diversity and all of what we have to offer. And just this morning, I was talking with some 10, 11-year-olds, and it was, for me, amazing that they identified so many different things that shout Jamaica. And you have played both roles as Director of Tourism and as Chairman of the Board of the Jamaica Tourist Board. So you're seeing things from different perspectives, operationally, and then of course with the policy level and all of that. So my question is, how do you account for, despite our challenges, this kind of resurgence and this kind of, I believe, wave that we are enjoying at the moment?
This is a very interesting place, Jamaica. Every day you go, you see something new. And especially people who are not familiar with Jamaica. They see Jamaica through different eyes. Sometimes you don't see the things that they see. There was an advertising campaign that we did. I think it was the third one from there. And when they wrote the tagline and I saw it, I almost had a nervous breakdown or fit. And it was simple. Once you go, you know. And I said, but if you've never been, how would you know?
Yes.
And true story, the guy who created the line came to Jamaica, got in a car and drove around the island for 1 month. And he came up with that line. Once you go, you know.
You know.
And it caught on like wildfire, right? And and even the famous Young and Ruby come back to Jamaica. If you've never been.
Yes.
Right.
Why say come back? Because you would have had to have gone before.
Yeah. These are fantastic campaigns and creativity.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the PR and marketing side and what sort of structure, what sort of organizational arrangement does the Jamaica Tourist Board have, which allows for it, for example, to be getting all these year after year after year awards for best tourism board in the region and all of that. And then we also want to talk a little bit about multi-destination tourism, because I noticed that Italy now has a flight coming into Jamaica. And also we have something from the DOM Rep, which is a first. And that's going to be a game changer, I believe, in terms of the multi-destination tourism that we've talked about for a long time. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. My special guest is John D. Lynch. He's the chairman of the Jamaica Tourist Board and has many, many years of experience in this business in all different facets, all different areas. Soon come back. We'll talk again.
In tourism, the people are the product. Yes, They are one of our industry's most important assets. They help create memorable lifetime experiences. They, through their service, make the difference. We share the stories of their challenges and triumphs, of what makes them tick, of who they really are, just to inspire you to act positively. You too can be an ambassador for tourism and our country and become a Jamaican tourism titan. Start today.
TPDCO's Explore Jamaica has insights into licensed tourism entities across Jamaica. Visit the Google or Apple Play Store and download the app today. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, my special guest is the chairman of the Jamaica Tourist Board, John Lynch. He's also a member of the board for the Jamaica Vacations Limited, JAMVAC, and he serves as a resource person for the Montego Bay Convention Center Board. He currently consults on major tourism projects and is head of the Shovel Ready program, which I'm sure many of you would have heard about. This is focused on securing investments to build new hotels in Jamaica. We've had some recent groundbreaking activities, so we're happy for that. Lynch also received in 2017 the Order of Distinction Commander Class for his service to the tourism industry here in Jamaica. And as we took the break, you would have heard of that very successful campaign, advertising campaign, that is, the award-winning Come Back to Jamaica campaign. This was initiated under his tenure, and that campaign did wonders for Jamaica's arrivals. Now, as we continue our little conversation, wearing both hats at the same time, as director and as chairman, would have given you quite a broad perspective. How does the board manage to arrange itself and win so many awards year after year as the best tourism board in the region? Tell me about that.
Proud history. Right? The board originally was reset up by Robert Lightburn. Mm-hmm. And he managed to convince John Pringle to become Jamaica's first director of tourism.
Yes.
And in those days, director of tourism and chairman were the same jobs.
Ah, okay.
That arrangement has, I think it stopped when I think under Adrian Robinson. Mm-hmm. And it restarted briefly again and then stopped again. And
then it restarted with you.
I happened to be chairman and director at the same time.
Yes.
At one point. Mm-hmm. And but that arrangement doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
I think the international organizations thrown in it. It's it's too much power in one person's hand. So it's not done again. Right? It's separated. Mm-hmm. But getting back to the tourist board, and we, John Pringle did one hell of a job in setting up a first-class organization. And a lot of those principles that John Pringle started are still there. You can see it in the organization. And we were able to recruit people of a very high caliber. And, I don't want to call you, there's so many names that I could call. Marcelo Martinez, Anthony Abrams. We were able to recruit some really very good people.
Yes.
Winnie Risden.
So your talent pool, and that's where it ought to start with the recruitment. Who do you get?
And and then we took the long road of Jamaicanizing the organization. Mm-hmm. In those days, I would say a lot of our staff, majority of our staff employed overseas, were not Jamaicans. And gradually, now we're pretty fully Jamaicanized now.
So all of the outposts, whether you're in Canada or in Germany or wherever you have representatives now, they're Jamaicans.
We're pretty much Jamaicanized. I think they're one, possibly two people. Mm-hmm. They're not that non-Jamaicans.
What are some of the places that we have representatives actually on the ground now who, really work with that market and get the agents involved to get the numbers?
We have quite a big operation in the United States, which is our largest market. We have an office in Miami because a lot of that kind of activity shifted from New York, and it's even gotten worse now with COVID. It's probably a lot of the people have moved, and a lot of people working from home now in this kind of activity. But we have an office in Miami, and we have reps all over the United States. Right, too numerous to
But outside of the United States, do we have representatives now?
Canada,
yes.
We have the same kind. We have an office in Toronto. And then moving on to, we also have a representative who has representative offices in Argentina, Brazil, right?
Okay.
And then Canada, we have a representative in Montreal, and we have an office in Toronto.
Great.
And in Europe, we have an office in London and one in Germany. So, that's about it.
Yes, but you've spread your tentacles, and your ambassadors are really true ambassadors.
Yeah, and they're
Jamaica.
they're Jamaican, they're completely Jamaicanized now.
Okay. All right, well, I want to say kudos, because every time you have these awards, you hear the Jamaica Tourist Board, and then you get goose pimples. And
No, that professionalism grew from the beginning.
Yes.
Right.
So it's part of the culture of the organization. Yes.
It's a culture that's still there.
Yes.
And we're going to keep it.
Of course.
We're going to keep it.
Your thoughts on multi-destination tourism? We're right here in this little region, and sometimes it costs so much for you to move from Jamaica to another island. It's easier you go up to Miami and that sort of thing. But I noticed recently we had Arajet out of the Dominican Republic coming in with one flight per week out of, I think
it's going to be 2 or 3.
Okay, so the more the merrier.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. Going to need a lot of work, right, and cooperation between the receiving countries. It's a very complicated exercise. And when you get to the technicalities of it, what happens, say, if a passenger misconnects, one is late and one, it needs a lot of work, technically.
Yes.
Right? But it's interesting. Americans, let me put it to you this way: it would be far more interesting in Europe, and in the new markets we're going after, because they traditionally spend longer time for vacations. Yes. So if they come in for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, fine.
They can take a few days and hop across somewhere else.
A week.
Yes.
Right, and split it up for a week.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing how that will evolve, and see how we can really be beneficiaries of that kind of arrangement. But let me take you back now to Sandals, because you oversaw public relations and sales promotions and group sales for all of the Sandals Resorts brands worldwide. And you were also integral in the company's aggressive expansion beyond our shores, beyond Jamaica. Take us back to those days. Tell us, share with us. I mean, how did you get into Sandals? What is it like? What was the most interesting thing for you in that period of your life?
Well, I was associated with the founder of Sandals, and we were friends. And when he came into the industry, and he obviously wanted to learn as much about the tourist industry.
Yes.
So, we used to talk, and we used to, we were friends. And one day he said to me, "Why don't you come and work for me?" And one thing led to the other. And if you know him well, right, or knew him well, right, he said, "Well, when we got around the salary, he said, why don't you write down what you need on a piece of paper? And I wrote down a number, right? And he didn't look on it. He folded it up and he put it in his wallet. In those days, he had that huge wallet. Right? And he called me about 3 weeks later. He said, that number there that you wrote on there, he said, I think we could manage that.
Okay.
So
that was it. You wrote your own salary.
That was it. And we went on from there. We did a lot of new things together.
Like? Just share with us a few of those things that you did, because I know you had the wedding moon trademarked and all of that.
Even before that, he called me one day. He says, come on down to Jamaica, I need to see you. I go down there. He said, look, I've decided to sponsor the West Indies cricket team, right, for $500,000. He said, go and do it.
Just like that.
Yeah, I had no idea about sponsorship, so I had to go and learn.
Yes.
I had to go and learn. And it was, spent a lot of time, we sponsored the West Indies cricket team in the UK, and people didn't know. The commentators, the first problem was the commentators, who thought Sandals was
a pair of shoes or slippers.
So now we're lucky enough. The Australian team were touring the West Indies, and I took 8 or 10 of the British English commentators to Sandals Antigua to watch the game and to stay at Sandals to see what kind of operation it was. And it was a home run.
Yes, of course.
Because when
you knocked the ball out of the park.
Yeah, when they were talking about the sponsorship, it was amazing. They knew all about Sandals.
Well, having experienced it, I'm sure you would have laid it on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, it was a very interesting part of my life. Right? I learned a lot, right? And we had a great time.
Yes, spent how many years?
That I spent there,
yes.
12 and a half.
12 and a half.
13 years, yeah.
Okay. Now, you have done some stuff regionally. You have been serving with the Caribbean Hotel Association and some other stuff. Tell us about that.
Bureaucratic. Bureaucratic. Interesting, but bureaucratic.
Yes.
And, you learn things as you go to different countries in the Caribbean and all of that. My very good friend was head of the Caribbean Hotel Association for many years, Alex Sanguinetti. And we worked together. Alex's wife just passed away. So
Wow.
I spoke to him today, as a matter of fact.
Condolences.
Yes, so,
But that in and of itself would have also tapped into your experience and all of the things that you would have learned over these many years. It's a great teacher.
yeah, experience is great,
Yes.
right? And if you live it and breathe it, there's no other alternative.
Yes. If you were to think about it, what would you consider the highlight of your career? I mean, it's been varied, it's been interesting. You've met a lot of people along the way. You've, I'm sure, trained and mentored a lot of people along the way. What would you say if you were to put it in a sentence? What would that highlight of your career be?
You know, my experiences at Sandals and the way decisions were made quickly, I think it would have to be one of the highlights. And to work with Butch Stewart was one of the highlights of my career. You know, if you had a good idea, you could get it done immediately. Now you have processes. And
Yes,
stuff,
because the bureaucracy.
Yes, you have to go and retrain yourself.
Yes.
But we've done some great things at the Tourist Board.
Yes, I believe so too.
Yeah.
And challenges, anything that has really sort of caused you to have to, as they say in the dance hall, wheel and come again. You know, you've had to really give it a lot of creative energy and to move beyond the situation?
Almost every day. Almost every day. You have challenges and
crisis
like
management
yes.
and all of that going on.
If you work with Jamaica, you have crisis management
Yes.
all the time. But this is one fabulous place to be able to settle.
And in terms of our resilience, I think and you alluded to it earlier on, I think we've done pretty well. What more do you think we can do?
Well, I think we're going into another gear now. We're certainly attracting new investment. Over the next, I would say, 10 years, you can expect maybe 15,000 new rooms. And what is really happening now, there are a lot more people promoting Jamaica. It's not like the old days that it was the Jamaica Tourist Board and taking the lead. You have international organizations now and all kinds of people promoting and talking about Jamaica. So it helps. Your challenge is going to your roads, training staff,
Right, your
for hotels.
infrastructure.
Your airports are going to be very important, right? And how you maneuver and move people through the airport.
Right. We
Because
see some upgrades taking place.
yeah, you're going to get lots of people, right? It won't be 5 for 5 or for 5 anymore. It will be 10 for 10 for 10. So those are going to be your trend. That's for somebody younger than me.
Well, I'm sure you'll be there to help to guide the process just the same. And, it's an interesting space, as you say, Jamaica land we all love. Thank you so much for coming by today and being my special guest on Jamaica's Tourism Titans. We could talk quite a bit more, but I
don't know about Titan. Thank you for being here.
It has been my pleasure, and we wish you all the best, and we hope that you will continue to serve in the way you have, and just to provide that kind of guidance for the team and be a part of this tourism family. It's so important that our listeners, and especially our Jamaicans, understand how important this industry is to our nation, and that everybody can see themselves in the picture, in the big picture, whether it is in an attraction, a hotel, it's farming, it's producing some other kind of goods or service, something special, something unique, being innovative, whatever it is, but that our Jamaicans see themselves as part of this industry and see that they can also benefit, as so many already have. My very distinct pleasure to have you, and many blessings.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's it for today. Our special guest, our chairman of the board of the Jamaica Tourist Board. And it's all happening on TPDCO's Jamaica's Tourism Titans. See you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Tourism Titans. We welcome your feedback at letUsknow@tpdco.org. Leave us a comment, share, like, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TPDCOJA. I'm Marlene Stevenson Daly. See you soon.